Hey folks! In this video we're going to talk about how to find a book in the library. It can be kind of tricky sometimes, so I'm going to walk you through all the steps that you need to do to find a book. So let's start from the top by locating a book in the library catalog on the library website. Let's take a look.
Here we are at the library website. So the library website, for those of you who haven't seen it before, here it is in all of its splendor. The thing that popped up right in the right corner, for those of you who aren't aware of it, is the Ask Us box. The Ask Us box is a box you can use to chat with the librarian. So if you're ever stuck, need help finding a book, journal article, whatever, just type something in the box and hit enter, which I'm not going to do in this case. Now, there are two places you can find books in the library if you're doing a search on the website. One is to use the One Search box, which is the big search bar in the center right here. One Search is nice. It's going to grab from all of our, at least most of our databases, and as well as the library's book collection using the library catalog. It's not always as accurate and sometimes misses a few things. So it's not always it's not really the only tool in the tool shed that you should be using, but if you're just exploring something, it's something you can use. If you know the exact title of what you're looking for, I would recommend using the library catalog by clicking the books button over here, which is what I'm going to do, because it tends to be a lot more accurate. So in this case, I'm going to do a search in the library catalog by clicking books. So here we are. It's not quite as pretty, but this is the library catalog. This is where we index all our physical materials. Because I know exactly what I'm looking for in this case, I'm not going to do a keyword search, which would be looking for different words that have to do with the topic. I'm going to be doing a title search because I'm going to be looking for the title of the book because I know what I'm looking for. In this case, it's going to be One Giant Leap by Charles Fishman. So I'm going to search One Giant Leap. For those of you who don't know, Charles Fishman is the guy who wrote this year's one book, The Big Thirst. So just giving him some props. All right, so I'm going to hit submit. And here are our books in the catalog that are called One Giant Leap. So the first one is a children's book, and that's not what we're looking for. I'm looking for the book written by Charles Fishman, so that's going to be the second record. And I'm going to click on that to view the record. Now that we're in the record, we can see how many pages the book is. We can see a summary of the book and make sure it's what we're looking for. We can see some of the subjects. So Project Apollo, this book is about the Apollo space flight and space flights to the moon. Yeah, it seems to be what we're looking for. This sounds like the right book. I can look at the cover and over at the left. So when I'm actually looking for the book, I can try to find the cover and make sure it matches. But yeah, so after I've looked at some of that stuff, I'm going to look at the status. It's not checked out, which is good. If it's checked out, that means it's not in the library at the moment. So you're gonna have to try to look for it again at another time. So now I know it's in the library. I'm gonna look at where it is in the library. So first, I'm gonna look at the location. This is the WCU General Collection. That's where most of our books in the library are located. So that's downstairs in the library, where there's tons and tons of rows of books. That's the general collection. So most of our books are there, but we also keep books in a few other sections as well. We have a reference material section on the main floor. So those are things like dictionaries, encyclopedias, handbooks, those sorts of things. They're not allowed to leave the library, but you can still bring the books over the book scanner in the Scholar Studio to take some of the information home with you. We have a leisure reading collection on the main floor as well. The leisure reading collection are the books that we bought for fun reading. Not to say everything in the library isn't fun to read, but these books were purchased specifically for fun purposes and fun purposes only. So if you're looking for something fun to read, check there. We have all sorts of genre books like sci-fi, fantasy, fiction. We have manga and graphic novels and even a couple cookbooks. So definitely check that out if you're looking for just something fun to read. We also have a media section. There's no books in there, but there are DVDs, Blu-rays, CDs, stuff like that. So if you want something to watch, check that out. Upstairs in the library, we have the CMC, also known as the Curriculum Materials Center. Those are materials like children's books and young adult books, textbooks, and all sorts of materials that teachers might use to help them in their class. So definitely for our education majors out there, you are probably going to want to spend some time in the CMC Curriculum Materials Center. In this case, we are looking at the WCU General Collection. So that's where we're going to go to find our book. But before we go, we should make sure we look at the call number. So most of the library collection, including the general collection, is organized using the Library of Congress classification system, although places like the DVDs are organized alphabetically. But in this case, we're going Library of Congress. Library of Congress, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's very similar to it's kind of like Dewey Decimal, but completely different. For those of you who've used Dewey Decimal in the public libraries or in your high school libraries, same idea of how it's organizing materials by different subjects, but it's just a classification system that we're not going to get into too detailed on, but it's used a lot more heavily in academic libraries. So this book is located in the T section, specifically TL. T is technology, and TL is, I believe, automotives, aeronautics, motor vehicles, so planes, trains, and automobiles, that sorts of stuff. So this book is the call number is TL789.8U6F557-2019. I'm never going to remember that, so I always make sure to write this down before I leave. Otherwise, I'm keep on having to check my phone or run back and forth to my computer or wherever I had it. So always write it down before you search. So now that I've written down the call number, let's head down to the general collection and see if we can find this book. Here we are downstairs in the general collection of the library. Now, I'm going to take a look at our call number and look at those first two letters. Now, since it begins with TL, I'm going to look to where we keep the T's. And I'm going to try to find a shelf with a call number range that includes our number. Now, since our call numbers are arranged alphanumerically, TL is going to fall in between TM and TK. So I'm going to head over here, and now that we're in the TLs, I'm going to try to find looking at the number. Now, the number is just going to be in numerical order, and that includes the decimal point. So as we see here, the numbers just slowly increase until we found the book that we're looking for. Here we are, One Giant Leap by Charles Fishman. Perfect. All right, guys, this is how you find a book in the library. If you have any questions, let us know. Take care.